Bill, it's great to talk to you, man. But more importantly, man, it's like the amount of respect I've got for you and what you've done throughout your career is an amazing thing. You know, we can talk about much music. We can talk about you as an interviewer. We can talk to you about a journalist, a newsman. But the thing is, though, man, it's guys like you who helped somebody like myself learn how to do proper interviews and
Mm.
really focusing on what's important, not the fad, but the person that you're speaking with. And I feel like the things that you've done is slowly becoming a lost art. And I'm glad that I am following in those footsteps. So thank you very much for being such a great role model, my friend.
Man, those are lofty words. I appreciate it so much. And not to sound glib, but I respect your work as well. Seeing you at all the press conferences and all the interviews, you've always been gracious to your guests. And, I was never on much. I was never the cute one, the political one, the wacky one. I just wanted to do good interviews, man. And hopefully I've achieved in one way or the other. I like to think I have good teachers.
Mhm.
Denise Donlin, Christopher Ward, Michael Williams, uh, you know, Erica M. To me, these were people that I watched growing up, and to be able to work with them years later, and to edit a lot of their stories and see, editing a lot of raw interviews, you see what works, you see what doesn't, you see how guests react to certain things, to certain personalities, to certain uh, questions, and you basically, that's by osmosis, what works, what doesn't, and hopefully I've tried to do that throughout my career and still have a chance to do it, which is what I love.
Well, man, you've done an excellent job. But I got to tell you, first off, I'm glad because of what we're going to talk about is you wrote a book. But I'm mad at you because I don't like the title of the book, and you've got it with you right now, and I don't agree with it. If you want to show that book to the folks again, because you showed it to me before we started the recording.
It's a happy has-been, and it's tongue-in-cheek. No one wants to be called a has-been.
Of course not.
You can't call me one. I can call myself a has-been, but you can't call me one. No, I'm just kidding. um, it's there are people who know what I've done only from my work at Much Music in the 90s and early 2000s with Much More Music, and then I fell off the face of the earth. To some people they followed my career. To some people, now I'm in Kingston at a global news affiliate. I have older people that don't even know what Much Music is and who enjoy my work on the morning show there. And so it's a little bit of a tongue in cheek that I am not national anymore. I still work in television. I've never given that up, but it's more of a local focus now. It's a lot of a smaller, I'm not on a national radar anymore. It's a smaller local medium that I'm in now. So I could understand why some people would assume that I'm a has-been, and I have no problem with that at all.
Never, never, never. That's the first and last time we're using those words in this interview. Forget it. It's not happening because, like I said, man, way too much respect for you and what you've done and what you're doing. Man, did you ever think growing up that you would have the type of career, the breakthrough, being in the places that you've been, influence the way you have, and even like I said, being part of this industry the way you have, did you ever think that you'd be able to put that thumbprint on?
No, man. When I got interested in television, I went to school at Seneca for radio and television. I really wanted to learn how to shoot. I wanted to be
Yeah.
a camera person in the worst way. I fell in love with editing while in college, and I'm a very organized person. I suffer a little bit from OCD. No crap there. It's true. And something about editing appeals to that part of me where it's like Tetris. Things have to fit, video and audio, and you place it here to tell a story. Maybe jump around to another clip, move that here, put a little bit of music here. And so I spent, all those years putting together hour specials. And it's something that I don't see anymore uh,
Yeah.
on television. But yeah, so I loved editing. So the on air thing I sort of fell into. And it's a long story. And it's all in the book how. But um, I think if you ask 10 different people how they got their job, you're going to get 10 different answers. But I still do the behind the scenes stuff. That's what I love. I love telling stories, other people's stories. It's just funny now that I have a chance to tell my own.
Isn't it funny? I feel like that's a lost art. That's one of the things that I was talking about, telling stories. I feel like we don't get enough of that. And because we're in a new era where you have TikTok and things like that, those social media platforms really don't get a chance to tell stories the way you and the crew used to tell stories of the people that you were speaking with.
I've heard that theory. It's a lost art. Interviews. What one of the things that I miss about those days is the fact that we had the opportunity where we could do lengthy interviews and like
Yeah.
let a David Bowie interview, let him speak. The guy's got lots to say. He's very well read, very smart guy. He's very entertaining. And then coming back with that interview and being asked, does he warrant an hour special? And then seeing how um, entertainment shows. It's all about the 5 second soundbite, the 10 second soundbite, or who's in rehab, who's got cellulite. I think that's the way the entertainment business went.
True.
And it's sad because I love watching in-depth interviews, and the fact that you can do this podcast and let it breathe and let people get it, not just me, but whoever you're talking to, let them get into that conversation, let them listen, let them be a fly on the wall for some ideas being exchanged back and forth. Yeah, I don't see that anymore. And some people say, well, people have a short attention span these days. I think it's because people don't have a chance to see lengthy interviews. It's not at their, it's not available for them. There's obviously someone watching or listening now that's probably agreeing. And, those are the people that, that's the kind of entertainment that I enjoy is, not on the surface. It gets a little deeper. Sometimes it can make you cry. Sometimes it can make you laugh. Sometimes it's magical. Sometimes you can learn. Yeah, all those things. And so God bless you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you, my friend. Like I said, I know I say this seriously. I sort of adapted to what you guys did because, going to school and growing up and watching the interviews, I really learned a lot from you guys, whether the interviews worked or didn't work. And those were the things that I enjoyed because I didn't realize until I started doing interviews that I learned how to recover from what you guys did because you guys were live all the time.
Well, sometimes
And you never knew what was going to happen if the artist was in a bad mood or if, you know, anything could happen. And you guys had to adapt like that to make sure that the interview worked.
Well, sometimes a live interview that doesn't work is probably more entertaining than a than an interview that does work. I'm sorry, there's a I'm in a hotel lobby. There's a vacuum in the background. I was at a wedding last night, my nephew's wedding, so I'm just checking the hotel now. So hopefully they'll be done. But
that's okay, man. That's okay. Look, why did you decide to write the book now? Why was this the right time?
uh, when I moved to Kingston around 11 years ago, the Kingston Whig Standard, the newspaper, asked me to write a monthly column just about my life, and I was very grateful. I thought, wow, someone wants to know about me. That's odd. I did that for 5 or 6 years, and I got to a point where I thought, I'm done talking about me after 6 years in these monthly columns. And then COVID hit. And what happened during COVID? There was a proliferation of podcasts, and I kept getting asked to be a guest on different podcasts, talking about music, talking about the 90s, talking about whatever. And then a lot of stories started coming up that I had, that I'd forgotten about. And then realized, using the columns as sort of a jumping off platform and the stories I was coming up with during these podcasts, I thought, I'm just going to start writing. Just let it go. And that was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And then at the end of the year, I'm looking at what I wrote, and I said, this is a book. This is organized it, put it into chapters, tweaked it, played with it. And next thing I knew, late last year, I thought, okay, does anyone want to read this? Sent it out to some publishers. I heard back from some majors, and they said they'd love to put it out. How about 2024? And I just thought, you know what? 2023, it's the 35th year of anniversary of my career. There's a Much Music documentary coming out later this year. Um, I just thought this is the year that I want this out. And so here it is. And so why? I don't know. I scratched an itch, and sometimes I think people, you question if or ego or lack of ego. Who wants to read about me? Nobody cares. There's more than a few people that want it, and I've been asked for years about a book, and so I'm just proud to say here it is. I got it out of my system. And what's important to me is I don't want people to say, I've always maintained everyone has a story. Man,
Yeah,
everyone does. Everyone
I
has
agree.
something that they would like to share, need to share. We can all learn from. Some of us don't get a chance to tell our story. So I feel very grateful that I have a chance to tell my story. And in here, it's not just the meanderings of an old man. Hey, let me talk to you about the good old days. No, there's a lot of life lessons that I've learned along the way that I'm also sharing, which is a big part of the book.
And I was going to just ask you too, what is that life lesson? What is the one thing that you've learned from what you didn't know getting into the business, going to Seneca, to where you are now? If there was something that you could put across and say, this is what I've learned.
There's lots. One, don't throw a banana at a tree full of monkeys if you're visiting India. They'll chase you. They'll rip your face off for that banana. Learn never to do that. Always wear sunscreen. I got major sunburn in the Caribbean interviewing Gloria Estefan on one trip, and thought I'd just be there for 5 minutes. I was there for an hour and I got sunburned. Um, Basically, we are all in this together. We talk about celebrity culture and fame, and we put them up on pedestals. To me, doctors, first responders are heroes, and I put them on pedestals. You know, anyone who wants to research a higher calling with religion, um, to me, those people are heroes because it's all about trying to elevate everyone around us. Not necessarily elevate ourselves, but elevate everyone around us and take care of each other, love each other. I know it's all glib, it sounds like a cliche, but man, it's so true. And you know how you meet certain people, you just get a vibe from? Well, you exude that. Certain people in my life, I've just gotten a vibe from where they're here for a specific reason, and that is to make people happy in their own special way. And everyone has that chance, and just to elevate everyone around you. That
Amazing, man.
that is the most important thing that I've learned.
Well, I got to get back to the double M because I remember going to the Bay. They used to sell the Much Music t-shirts. And I know I've got somewhere in boxes, I still have that shirt. It probably doesn't fit, it's faded out. I wish they would resell those shirts because I love them. And like I said, I loved everything that went on at Much. I loved watching the interviews. But for you, though, being on the other side, what would you say was one of the most iconic interviews that you've done? And what was one of the hardest interviews? Because again, I know sometimes you can sit there and you got great questions, you know what you want to say and ask, but that person just doesn't want to answer anything at that moment.
I've been lucky for most of my career that every interview was good. The one bad one that stands out was Blur live on Much. They hyped it as an hour. They're going to come and play and sing, and they did it in Montreal for Music Plus the day before. They came and they played. They did not want to talk. So at that, what do you do? Get a lot of mumbling, get a lot of yeah, no. Throw to fax questions, same response. Throw to a viewer question, same response. At the end of the broadcast, couldn't come quick enough. The road manager comes up to me and says, "That was great, man. What are we talking about?" He goes, "Oh, we did this in Montreal yesterday. That wasn't very good." I can only imagine how bad their show was. But I've talked to Damon from Blur before and always had a great interview. So you never know if you're gonna. It's not so much them. It could be a bad day. Could have been, who knows, they were late getting in, not enough sleep. But people want to know about Madonna and Mick Jagger and big stars like that, and Tina Turner recently. Um, my favorite interviews have always been the ones that I grew up idolizing,
Yeah,
pictures of in my locker at school, or
yeah.
doodling band logos on my notebook, or pictures in my bedroom. And they've always you know, to me, those little perfect circles, and I talk about that in the book, how
That's
grateful.
why I'm wearing, this is one of my icons, man. That's why I'm wearing this shirt for this interview.
I love Lionel. Always had a great time with Lionel. Yeah. But those perfect circles that bring you back to a moment when you were younger that you can reconnect somehow as you're an older person. To me, I love those, and I've been fortunate to have thousands of them. But some of my interviews are, I went and saw Robert Smith, The Cure, a couple weeks ago in Toronto. The guy's 64, one of my favorite bands of all time, still blows me away. Um, I've interviewed Robert maybe 5 or 6 times over the years, and always a great interview. Um, I love Oasis. Always had a great time with the Gallagher brothers. I wish they would get back together.
Yes.
Liam can be a bit of a hooligan in some interviews. I've never had that with him. It's always been a great interview. And yeah, anyone that's sort of a touchstone in my life, I've never taken that for granted, how important those moments are to me. And I was fortunate enough position to, hang out with Mick Jagger and Madonna at her house, and lots of those experiences. And also a chance to write about it, which is, I guess, why we're talking.
And what do you hope the fans are going to get from this book when they get a chance to read this? What do you hope that they pick up from your life?
When I was finished, I was thinking to myself, well, who's going to enjoy this? Who's going to read it? I started thinking, there's a whole generation out there that grew up on Much, probably miss seeing that presentation of music. I think they'll get a kick out of it. A lot of behind the scenes stories. But the goal for me was, if you had no idea who Bill Welychka is, I don't look familiar at all to you, you have no idea what I've done in my life, that you can still pick it up and read it, and by the end go, that was a good read. That was fun. This is one of my favorite books. And I'm pretty sure I've achieved that. So if you know who I am, if you don't know who I am, you'll enjoy the book at least.
Definitely. Just quick question. Have you seen the documentary yet? And are you in it? Because I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I'm in the trailer. I know that. I haven't seen it. Blown away about a year and a half ago, being asked to be interviewed for this doc, and a chance to relive some memories. And I think what Sean Menard has done is what I tried to do with this book, and that is remind people what a great time it was, music television, and remind people what it could have been if it had still existed, and remind a new generation, like, this is how we presented music, and this is how we promoted bands and promoted artists and elevated music and elevated musicians in Canada and elevated the fans and got them close to their heroes, which is a big part of what we did, that interactivity. And I am looking forward to the documentary. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of ex-coworkers too. And that's going to be in August, and then it tours across Canada, and then it's on Crave for everyone else to see.
Cannot
So
wait, man.
I haven't seen it. I'm looking forward to it. I've
Cannot
always
wait.
got a much T-shirt that I think I still have to the screening, maybe.
I hope somebody resells those things, man, because I would kill to get that. And what you said about that time period, like I said, I remember everybody rushing home to watch Much Music to see the debut of Thriller. So for folks who don't understand that, that was a moment in time, and it was from Much Music to see these things.
Yeah, I rushed home after school to watch Much as well in the early days, and then to be able to work with some of these people years later was a huge thrill. But Rudy, I got to tell you, I don't have any Much T-shirts. I do have an old school Much Music baseball jersey. It's real thick. They only came out with them, I think, for a year or two. I still have that. Next time we see each other, I'm presenting that to you as a gift.
Oh man, are you sure you want to part with that?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. It's all yours next time I see you.
Oh brother.
I'll bring it to the red carpet. Hopefully you'll be there in
Oh,
September.
I'll be there. Oh no. I will. There's unless lightning strikes me, there's nothing that's going to keep me away from that, because I cannot wait to see that.
Consider it
I say thank you straight up. As we're wrapping this up too, what you said about Blur, I will tell you off camera, I had the same situation.
It was probably the same day. They were not in
You
a
could have been exact same situation. But like I said, man, thank you for the memories. Thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for what you've done. I hope a lot of the young folks learn from your experiences, because we need that type of um journalists and reporting on the new artists that are out there, but also never forgetting about the classical old school artists, because that is part of the journey. And you, my friend, helped us through that journey. Thank you so much for this interview. Congratulations on the book, and just thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you so much, sir. BillWelychka.ca if anyone's interested. But thank you so much for being interested. I appreciate it, Rudy. Thank you.